After I paid for the entire wedding, my fiancé's family posted a guard at the reception with a photo of my children. Do not admit. My kids and I turned around and left without a word. 2 hours later, her father called me directly. The marriage is already over, he said coldly. She's on her way to beg. Do not open the door. I heard a knock. And then my name is Andrew, and for the last 12 years, I've been a television news anchor. Every night, I sit under studio lights, look straight into a camera, and calmly deliver the worst news in the city. Fires, crashes, corruption, missing children, floods, political lies dressed up as public service. People think that job teaches composure. It doesn't. It teaches you how to keep your face still while something inside you is breaking. That's why, when I saw the security guard outside my own wedding reception, holding a printed photo of my children with the words, "Do not admit," written across the top, I didn't shout. I didn't cause a scene. I just stopped walking. My daughter Lily was 10, wearing a pale blue dress she had chosen herself after rejecting 4 others for being too puffy. My son Mason was 12, in a navy blazer, trying to look bored even though he had spent 15 minutes fixing his hair. The guard looked sick. "Sir," he said quietly, "I'm very sorry, but I was given direct instructions not to admit these 2 minors." I stared at him. "These are my children. I understand." He lifted the paper slightly. It was a photo of Lily and Mason from my social media. Mason's birthday dinner. Lily smiling. Mason pretending not to smile. And above them, in thick black marker, "Do not admit." My throat went dry. "Who gave you that?" "The bride's mother," he said. She said the instructions were final. Lily tightened her hand around mine. "Dad?" I looked through the ballroom doors. The floral arch I paid for, the custom lighting I paid for, the crystal centerpieces, the string quartet, the champagne tower, the imported flowers, the gold-rimmed plates Vanessa called essential for the look. All paid for by me. And my children weren't allowed inside. Mason looked at my face once and understood everything. "Let's go," he said. So we turned around and left without a word. That silence was worse than screaming. Children only go that quiet when humiliation hits so hard they're trying not to fall apart in public. We crossed the lobby in silence, rode the elevator down in silence, walked through the parking garage in silence. I got them into the car and drove away from the wedding I had spent almost $90,000 funding. $90,000. For flowers, for food, for music, for atmosphere. Apparently there was money for everything except dignity. Halfway home, Lily asked in a tiny voice, "Did I do something wrong?" That question hit harder than anything else that happened that night. "No," I said immediately. Too fast. Too sharp. I softened my voice. "No, sweetheart, not one thing. You did absolutely nothing wrong." She looked down and twisted the ribbon on her dress. Mason stared out the window. Vanessa knew. It wasn't a question. I didn't answer. That was answer enough. And the truth is, part of me had known for a while that something was wrong. The guard at the ballroom wasn't the first red flag. He was just the first one I couldn't explain away. I met Vanessa 2 years earlier when she came to the station for a lifestyle segment. She owned a luxury event company and had the kind of beauty cameras love. Instantly. Polished, expensive, controlled. She knew how to smile at producers, charm executives, and make eye contact like she was offering you something special. 3 days later, she asked me to dinner. At the time, I was 38, divorced, and raising 2 children with the kind of structure single parents build when they know one unstable person can damage an entire household. My ex-wife Nora and I didn't have a dramatic divorce. No affair, no screaming, no scandal. We just didn't survive grief and time, but we remained good co-parents, and our children never had to question that they were loved. When Vanessa first met Lily and Mason, she was flawless. She brought Lily a sketchbook because she remembered she liked drawing. She asked Mason about basketball and actually listened. She baked cookies with them and laughed when flour got all over the counter. And she said all the right things. "I would never come between you and your kids. I respect how devoted you are. I'm not trying to replace their mother. I just want to be another safe adult." I believed her. That was my first mistake. The second was ignoring the first time she told me the truth. We were leaving a charity gala about 6 months in when she showed me a photo of us near the donor wall. You know, she said lightly, your public image would be much more sophisticated if every part of your identity didn't revolve around being a father. I thought she was joking. She wasn't? I'm sorry? She shrugged. Every interview, every event, every profile turns into Andrew, the devoted dad. It's sweet, but not exactly elegant. They're my children. I know, she said. I'm just saying not everything has to center them. That should have ended the relationship. Instead, I translated cruelty into something smaller, so I wouldn't have to act on it. After that came the steady drip of ugliness. She hated when I posted family photos because it disrupted my professional brand. She resented it when I left plans early for the kids. She called Lily's dance recital 2 hours of chaos for 30 seconds of wobbling. She once called the school fundraiser a room full of mediocre adults pretending cupcakes are community service. Every time I confronted her, she had the same tools ready: tears, excuses, or wounded disbelief that I could possibly hear her that way. Then there was her family. Her mother, Celeste, was elegant cruelty in human form. Perfect manners, perfect posture, poisonous subtext. Her father, Martin, was quieter, but not kinder. He just let Celeste do the damage, while he stayed respectable. At our first dinner, Celeste asked whether shared custody had limited my career flexibility. At another, she asked whether Nora would remain visibly present after the marriage. Visibly present. As if the mother of my children was a branding issue. Vanessa always excused it. They're old-fashioned. They care about appearances. They don't mean it badly. But they did. And somewhere along the way, I started calling my tolerance maturity. When I proposed, I told myself I was choosing stability, a future, a real family structure instead of constant emotional caution. Vanessa cried, said yes, and wrapped herself around me like I had given her everything she ever wanted. Lily clapped when I told the kids. Mason asked, will she still be nice when she doesn't have to impress us? I laughed. I should never have laughed. Wedding planning exposed everything I had been avoiding. Every conversation became about optics. The ceremony had to be cinematic. The room had to feel editorial. The guest list had to be elevated. The photos had to look clean. That word came up again and again. Clean. Whenever I talked about giving Lily and Mason important roles, Vanessa's smile tightened. Of course Lily can be Flower Girl, she'd say, but in a tasteful way. Not too childish. She's 10. Yes, Vanessa would reply, as though that itself were a problem. Mason wanted to stand beside me. She asked, wouldn't that make the altar look crowded? My son is not visual clutter. That bought me 2 days of cold silence. Then I found a draft seating chart on the kitchen island. Lily and Mason weren't at the family table. They were at table 14 near the service entrance. I asked, why are my children back here? Vanessa sighed without looking up from her laptop. It's just a draft. No, answer me. She finally looked up, annoyed. Because children change the energy of adult tables. I stared at her. This is a wedding, Andrew, not a school event. They are my family, yes. She snapped, and not every single thing has to revolve around proving that. I said one thing. Fix it. She did, or pretended to. By then, I had paid too much to admit the truth. That's the trap. Once enough money is gone, denial feels cheaper than reality. The wedding day started badly. A chemical fire north of the city pulled me into special live coverage that morning. I spent hours in the studio reporting evacuation zones, while my tux hung behind me. My producer Helen watched me all morning like she was observing a controlled demolition. Helen had disliked Vanessa from the start. She's too polished, she once said. That's not a crime. No, Helen replied, but it usually means one is coming. When I finally left the station, she handed me my charger and said, I hope for your sake I'm wrong about this woman. I picked up Lily and Mason from Nora's house. She had helped them get dressed. One look at me and she knew something was off. You're pale, she said. I'm late. That's not what I meant. The kids went outside. Nora stopped me on the porch. If anyone treats those kids like an inconvenience today, you leave, she said quietly. I gave her a tired smile. Of course, she didn't smile back. No, hear me. You've been explaining away red flags because you want this to work. Don't do that with them. That sentence followed me all the way to the hotel. Vanessa had insisted on a private legal ceremony earlier in the day for immediate family only, followed by the public reception and symbolic vows later that evening. I didn't like it, but she said it was elegant, modern, better for timing, better for photography. Because of the breaking news coverage and the delay picking up the kids, I missed the private portion. Vanessa texted, "Don't worry, just get here before the reception. That's what matters." Now I know why. When we got home after being turned away, I helped Lily out of her dress. She stood in front of the mirror while I unbuttoned the back. Was she embarrassed of us? She asked. That hurt even more than the question in the car. No, I said automatically. Children hear lies even when we mean them kindly. She looked at me in the mirror. Then why didn't she want us there? I knelt behind her. Because some adults care more about appearances than love, I said. That is not your fault. Her mouth trembled. When she started crying, it was silent. Mason shut himself in his room and texted Nora. Less than a minute later, my phone rang. What happened? She asked. They had a guard with a photo of the kids. They weren't allowed in. The silence on the line turned icy. Then Nora said, I'm coming over. Not yet. Andrew, please, let me settle them first. She exhaled hard. I am trying very hard not to become the evening headline. Despite everything, that almost made me laugh. At 8:53, my phone rang from an unknown number. I answered. Andrew, a man said. Yes, this is Martin Vale, Vanessa's father. His voice sounded stripped raw. The marriage is already over, he said coldly. I straightened. What marriage? There was a pause. Then he said Vanessa legally married Daniel Mercer this afternoon. For a second, the words meant nothing. Then they meant everything. Daniel Mercer. A venture capital heir Vanessa had once introduced to me as an old family friend. I sat down because my knees stopped cooperating. Martin kept speaking. She tied the legal ceremony to a business arrangement involving an investment in her company. She intended to keep the public event with you, secure your funding, satisfy the Mercer family privately, and contain the fallout later. My brain started replaying every strange detail from the past months. The missing paperwork, the rushed deposits, her insistence that the legal details would be handled later. Celeste behaving like the event belonged to them, while I paid for every inch of it. Martin's voice hardened. She has been exposed. Daniel found out about the reception incident. His family is gone. Lawyers are already involved. There will be no marriage. He took a breath. She is on her way to your house because she believes your silence is her last protection. Do not open the door. Then he hung up. I sat there hearing nothing but my own pulse. Vanessa hadn't just humiliated my children. She had used my money to stage a public wedding while privately marrying another man. Then I heard the knock. 3 hard raps. Andrew, her voice. I walked to the foyer and looked through the side glass. She was on my porch in her wedding gown. Veil gone, hair half fallen, makeup streaked, the bottom of her dress stained from the wet steps. She looked like someone thrown out of her own fairy tale. For one dangerous second, I remembered loving her. Then I remembered Lily asking if she had done something wrong. I opened the main door, but left the storm door locked. What do you want? She pressed both hands to the glass. Please let me in. No. Andrew, please. No. Her face crumpled instantly. It isn't what you think. I laughed. That sentence should be illegal after a certain point. She flinched. Just listen. You legally married another man. It wasn't real. I stared at her. It was business, she said quickly. Daniel's family was investing in my company. There were legal protections, strategic reasons. You excluded my children from the reception. That was my mother. You approved it. I didn't think it would become this big. That was the moment my anger turned clean. Not loud, precise, Lily cried in the car, I said. She thought she was the problem. Vanessa closed her eyes. I never wanted to hurt them. Then why was their photo printed? Silence. Say it. Her lips trembled. My mother thought children would ruin the atmosphere. The atmosphere. I was going to make it up to them. No. She blinked. No, I repeated. You do not get to ban children from a wedding their father paid for, and then talk about making it up to them. Behind me, I heard footsteps. Mason. He came halfway down the stairs and stopped. Vanessa instantly changed her face. Mason. Sweetheart. No, he said. One word. Flat as steel. You made Lily cry, he said. She thought you hated us. Vanessa pressed her hand to her chest. I never hated you. Mason looked at her with a clarity no child should need. Then why did you use Dad for money? Silence. He let out one short, broken laugh and went back upstairs. That was the moment the last illusion died. I looked at Vanessa through the glass. You are never speaking to my children again. Her whole body jerked. Andrew, don't say that. I just did. At that exact moment, headlights swept across the front window. Another car pulled up. Celeste stepped out first, still composed in an ivory coat. Martin followed, looking 20 years older. Celeste strode up the path. Open this door immediately, she snapped. This has gone far enough. I didn't move. She pointed toward Vanessa. You are going to let her inside, and we are going to agree on a statement before this gets worse. A statement, yes. There are reputations involved. I said, you had a security guard block my children. Celeste lifted her chin. Children were not appropriate for the tone of the evening. It was my wedding. It was Vanessa's event, she snapped, then realized too late what she had admitted. Martin looked at her with open disgust. In the numb minutes after his call, I had already done what I always do in a crisis. I got organized. A folder sat on the console table. I picked it up and slid it through the narrow opening. Celeste took it automatically. Inside were printouts of every payment I had made, venue invoices, floral deposits, catering transfers, music, transportation, all of it. On top sat one sheet in my handwriting. From this moment forward, all contact goes through my attorney. Any attempt to contact my children will be documented. Celeste looked up, stunned. Andrew, she said, suddenly calm, let's not be emotional. That almost made me smile. I report disasters calmly for a living, I said. Do not mistake my tone for weakness. Vanessa whispered, if you speak publicly, I'll lose everything. There it was. Not I'm sorry. Not I hurt your children. Not I betrayed you. Just I'll lose everything. I looked at her. You already did. Then I shut the door. Nora arrived 20 minutes later with hot chocolate for Lily, snacks for Mason, and bourbon for me. That was when I finally sat down and let myself shake. The next 48 hours were brutal. Someone leaked video from the reception, then photos, then posts about the bride who banned the groom's children from the wedding he paid for while secretly marrying another man. Small city, big scandal, fast spread. I said nothing publicly. I didn't need to. Daniel Mercer's family issued a cold legal statement. Misrepresentation. Annulment. No further comment. My attorney moved faster than Vanessa expected. Pending balances were frozen. Contracts reviewed. Questions raised. But the real damage wasn't legal. It was at home. Lily didn't want to look at the dress again. She asked me to put it away because it felt embarrassed. Mason became quiet and watchful. He checked locks at night, hovered near Lily without admitting why. I got them both into therapy within the week, rearranged my schedule, turned down side gigs. Stopped pretending kids bounce back just because adults need them to. Vanessa tried calling from 3 different numbers. Blocked, she emailed. Forwarded to my lawyer, she sent flowers. Returned, Martin called once. I failed to stop this, he said quietly. Your children did not deserve what happened. I am sorry. It was the only apology from that family that sounded human. A month later, Daniel Mercer sent a message through counsel. I should have asked better questions. I am sorry for my role in not seeing who she was. Your son showed more integrity in one sentence than most adults in that room. I showed it to Mason. He read it and handed the phone back. Good, he said. That was all. But later that night, I heard him laughing with Lily over some stupid show in the living room. and it sounded like oxygen returning to the house. The aftermath wasn't dramatic. No revenge speech, no public interview. Real aftermath is quieter. It looks like your daughter asking for a different color dress for the next school event, because blue makes her sad now. It looks like your son pretending he doesn't care whether you make it to his game, then checking the door every 30 seconds until you arrive. It looks like sitting in a parked car after work and realizing that half your suffering came from calling your own self-betrayal patience. I still anchor the news. I still sit under studio lights and calmly read stories about storms, corruption, and grief. But off camera, I changed. I stopped admiring polish without kindness. Stopped translating cruelty into something easier to tolerate. Stopped believing love was supposed to cost my children their dignity. 3 months later, Lily had a winter recital and Mason had a basketball game the same afternoon. I spent the day in a suit jacket over a t-shirt, carrying flowers in one hand and a duffel bag in the other, racing from one school building to the next. It was loud, messy, ordinary, and it felt more sacred than that wedding ever did. That night, after they were asleep, I sat on the back steps with a glass of bourbon and thought about the hotel hallway, the guard, the sign, and the silence in the car. At the time, walking away felt like defeat. Now I know it was the one thing I did exactly right. I didn't force my children to beg for belonging. I didn't teach them that family is something you audition for. I chose them. Late, maybe, but fully. And children remember that. They remember who protected them. They remember who explained away their pain. They remember whether love came with conditions. If I had walked into that ballroom without them, if I had told them to wait somewhere while I handled it, I would have taught them the worst lesson possible, that being excluded politely is still being loved. It isn't. Love without protection is performance. Commitment without respect is debt. And family is not the person smiling beside you under flattering lights. Family is who you would leave the whole room for. Vanessa wanted a perfect night, perfect lighting, perfect guests, perfect atmosphere, perfect optics. Instead, she gave me the clearest moment of my life. The night she tried to lock my children out of my future was the night she lost every place in it. And when I heard that knock on my front door, I thought it was the sound of my life collapsing. It wasn't. It was the sound of a lie arriving too late.